Hi, I'm Darnell with Way of Living Recipes, and this is my 30-day review of the Kalorik MAXX Air Fryer Oven Grill. If you've not already seen the initial review for this cooker, please do be sure to see that. In that review, I do test cooks, testing of temperatures, measurements. I talk about a lot of the details of the cooker. Everything that you probably want to know about how to use it is all in that video. In this video, it's a follow-up where I just talk about my thoughts, my impressions, how I felt about the cooker and using it over 30 days, and talk about some comparisons with some other things that I liked and didn't like, and so on like that. So I do have my notes here to go over how I feel about things to share with you. And so generally speaking, this cooker does well as far as the air fryer and as far as the indoor grill. But it has several things that basically annoy me. There's several things that annoy me and really turn me off to the cooker, and I'll be going through those as I go through the course of the review. But it is able to do air frying, it is able to do grilling, and so it's able to cook basically what you throw at it. And there's one thing, I guess, as far as annoyances that I did want to bring up. Basically, and I've shown it in the initial review in other cooks, there's a caloric sign that shows up here when the cooker's plugged in that never goes off, and it becomes very annoying because when you're not using the cooker, it's still got this really bright lit up caloric there that serves no purpose. I mean, it's not a clock, it's not doing anything. You know, usually when a cooker, you're done using it, you know, maybe like 10 minutes later or so, everything just turns off and it's just done. Everything's off. If it doesn't have a clock. But with this cooker, even when it's done, everything's turned off, it's still got this bright caloric lit up on the front of the cooker. I mean, if I wanted a cooker with a night light, that might be cool, but I don't. So for me, it was very annoying. I would unplug the cooker when I wasn't using it just so I wouldn't have to see this big bright caloric on the front of the cooker all the time. So that was something just stood out for me, and I can't think of a cooker before that I just intentionally would unplug after every use just so I wouldn't have to see something that I felt was annoying on the front of it all day. Another thing that's annoying is this drip catcher down here on the cooker. I think I've shown in like the initial review when putting it on and such and moving the cooker around. This is easily gets knocked out of place, knocked off and whatnot. That's pretty annoying. Don't really like that. Another thing, the cooker has, even though it's for the purpose of preventing smoke, it has a charcoal filter that you have to replace every couple of months, and there's a cost in that. Don't like that either. Those are some things that are annoying to me. So that's my my take on some things, and there's more that is annoying to me about the cooker that I'll get into later. If you didn't already know, there's a theme here that this cooker kind of annoyed me. But that's the way it is. Now, this cooker, as far as the hotness overall, it's a slightly softer cooker as far as the heat. Usually when cooking things in this cooker, they took a little longer than they may have in some other cookers that I've used. Some other cookers could do a little hotter, faster job than this cooker does. That's just in general usage terms. So, you know, basically you could turn the heat up a little more and you could achieve similar results. Or you could just wait a little longer. So I would usually turn the heat up maybe another 25 degrees more than I would with some other air fryer oven type cookers when I was cooking things. Now, basically opening the door, I did want to point out, pauses everything. And that's very good. Opening the door, you know, pauses it, stops the fan, you can get in there and do what you need to do. And after you're done using the cooker, it stays warm for a good while after you use it. So like if you don't want to use any function to keep things warm afterwards, and it's only going to be like some minutes before you get in there and get your stuff, you're going to be okay. It's going to stay pretty warm. Even if it's like 5 minutes, it's going to stay pretty warm in there. And things cook overall fairly evenly. You do want to spin your baked goods, like halfway through, spin them around, and they'll turn out real nice as well. And I wanted to mention, as far as the front door, there's no, and with most French door cookers, you're not going to have sealing on the front door. That would take away from the aesthetic of the French doors. So there's not a lot of sealant there, but don't mistake that for a whole bunch of air escaping out the front. Yes, it is best to spin things when you're baking. However, there's been times when I was baking in here and I didn't spin things, and there wasn't a major difference in the front and the back difference all the time. You lose some heat through the front, but it's not too crazy. It's not too bad. And so, you know, all French door cookers, like I said, usually they don't have a lot of sealing because they're trying to have the nice French door aesthetic. And so it's up to you if you want a French door cooker or if you want something else. And this cooker had no smoke issues, and I think the design with the charcoal filter in the back and all works out well to prevent any smoke issues. The user interface, it's not difficult to use, but the user interface makes a lot of dings and a lot of clicks. The knob, every turn of the knob is a click. I mean, every move of it is a click. And every press of buttons is dings. And so there's a lot of dinging and clicking when you're using the user interface. Also annoying. So, as far as noise, the air fry fan is loud, and the fan runs really loud for cool down after every cook. So the cooker is kind of noisy, and even on dehydrate you can hear the fan, so it's a little loud on dehydrate. And on bake it's quiet, it doesn't use the fan on bake, but at the end of the cook it does a cool down even after bake. So it's still going to make some noise at the end of a bake. So it's like no matter what function you use, at the end it's going to be some noise, so a bit annoying. So now I'm going to talk about the functions that I used on the cooker and my impressions of those. Air fry works fine, and that would include the chicken and the fish function. All the air fry works well. Toast works fine, no issues there with toasting. Bake, as I mentioned, it works fine. As long as you spin things, it'll turn out really well. And I will say, for a smaller form factor cooker, a cooker that's not a really big air fry oven, bake works really well in here. Usually with smaller cookers that aren't really huge, bake sometimes it's a little more challenging for them. They might overcook the top, especially with a cooker like this with a fan on the top. Sometimes they try and use that fan to help out, I guess, in baking, and that burns things. But Kalorik, they set it up so that when you're baking, things aren't going to get really overcooked. From what I used, it turned out pretty nice. Roast works well in this cooker. Things turned out well with roasting. Dehydrate works well in this cooker. However, dehydrate only goes 10 hours. So if you need to dehydrate something more than 10 hours, you have to just make sure that you come and extend the time longer after 10 hours. But it does dehydrate well, and it's got like a special guard for that. And the grill function works well as well. So all the functions that I used turned out pretty well, but there's just a lot of annoying factors to deal with in that weren't my preference. So I wanted to mention, cleaning the cooker is pretty hassle-free, and I'm going to show you the inside just so you can see here how things look. You see it's not, let me see if I can lift it up. Yeah, so now you can see there, things look pretty decent inside of there. Now I wanted to show you some of the other accessories so you see how those look after 30 days of use. The big pan, it's got a non-stick coating on it. Things don't really stick to it. The grill plate, it's also got like non-stick coating, so things don't really stick to it. And I know some of you are really big fans of non-stick coating. However, I guess folks who are more conscious of health matters are aware that non-stick coatings are not necessarily your friend, and so a little elbow grease can sometimes be a good thing instead of a non-stick coating. The air fry basket, you can see I usually put it on like the top rack of the dishwasher. After knocking anything major off of it, it cleans up fine. The other accessories, everything else I wash by hand. This is the only thing I would put in the dishwasher. And so, well, this is like the reflector for the, I guess, the dehydrate function there. You don't cook food on this. I didn't use the rotisserie. I did want to point that out. I didn't mention that earlier. I didn't use the rotisserie at all in this cooker when I was using it. But it does have a rotisserie if you want to use a rotisserie, and I showed how to use the rotisserie in the initial review if that's something that interests you. Now I'm going to talk about my comparison of this cooker with others. I'm going to just talk about comparisons with a few other cookers. If there's something in particular that you're wondering about, you know, how does this compare to that, that I don't talk about, you will have to look at the reviews here on the channel and make your own decision in that regard. But I want to talk about this cooker compared to the Ninja Foodi Indoor Grill. Basically any variety of Ninja Indoor Grill will do for this here. And basically, I feel that the form factor of the Ninja Foodi Indoor Grill is better suited for air frying and grilling in general than this cooker. Even though this has a grill, it's trying to be a jack of all trades. Whereas with the Ninja Foodi Indoor Grills, the design is just much better suited for grilling and air frying. Those are not good for baking at all. This cooker is better for baking, and it's an oven model. So I have to say, between all the pluses and minuses of both cookers, I still prefer the Ninja Indoor Grills over this cooker as far as everyday personal use. I prefer the Ninja Indoor Grill. It's just better for what it's made to do. So that's how I feel about that. Next, I'm going to compare this Kalorik to the Cuisinart air fryer toaster oven with grill. And it's pretty simple. The Kalorik can bake. The Cuisinart cannot at all. And so it's basically like both this and the Cuisinart have a similar form factor design, kind of a similar setup. But one you can bake with and the other one you can't. So, you know, the one that's able to do more, and they're both otherwise very similar, I'll go with. Because the Cuisinart, I mean, it's got a big function. However, everything I try to bake in it would burn. And I showed exhaustively, for any of you who says, oh no, well the Cuisinart air fryer toaster oven grill can bake just fine. I did several videos showing a lot of different ways to try a lot of different bakes. No, I do not agree. It's not good for baking. That Cuisinart air fryer toaster oven grill, not good for baking in my opinion. And I've used a lot of Cuisinarts. You can check them out here on the channel, search for Cuisinart. You'll see a whole lot of Cuisinart videos. But moving on. This Kalorik versus the Ninja Foodi dual heat air fry oven. The Ninja cooks hotter, cooks faster overall. Although it has a slimmer form factor, I did prefer using the Ninja Foodi dual heat air fry oven over this Kalorik. And it's probably because of a lot of the annoyances with the Kalorik here. Now the last comparison that I want to talk about is with my current champ, this Kalorik versus the Gourmet XL digital air fry oven. The Gourmet XL digital air fryer oven is my current champ. And so compared to it, the Gourmet, it's far less annoying to use. It holds more, it makes less noise, does a good job cooking large and small things. I mean, the Gourmet just wins. I just prefer the Gourmet overall to the Kalorik. And like I said, the Kalorik's just a lot that's annoying going on with it. So that's my take. My champ is still my champ. The Gourmet XL air fry oven is still the champ. And the big French door one that I've done a number of videos about before, full review here. Every cooker that I just talked about, there's reviews of those here, as well as tens of others, well over 50, lots of them. So be sure to check them all out. Now I do want to point out that nothing in this video is sponsored, nothing in any of my videos is sponsored. And so there's lots of ways to help the channel, such as my cookbook, donations, merch, membership. There's a referral link to Amazon shop, pay the same price, help the channel. There's memberships, there's merch like, well, I guess you can't really see the shirt here, but there's different merch that you can get as well. So lots of ways to help the channel if you so desire to do so. and donations I think are through Buy Me a Coffee now. So with all of that said, I do hope that you did like this review and enjoyed the video. And if you did, please do give it a thumbs up, share the video with a friend, leave your comments, subscribe, hit that notification icon, and good eating.